Hello, everybody. This is Fernando for the latest Godzilla podcast. Just wanted to make a quick video here honoring a very important date that just marked 10 years, in fact, since this date occurred. And it has to do still within the world of Godzilla because, lo and behold, the success of this movie eventually led to other studios, in this case, Legendary Pictures, Warner Brothers, and then others to start taking risks again on giant monster films. And of course, I'm talking about the 10-year anniversary of the film Cloverfield. Can you believe that? It's been 10 years already since this film came out. It was January 18th, 2008 to be specific. So I'm going to dedicate this video to my thoughts on that film, and then of course all the hype that this film had leading up to it. Still one of the most fascinating and best examples of marketing, viral marketing, within any other film out there. But yes, let's go ahead and let's talk about the 10-year anniversary associated with the film Cloverfield. I'm sure you've seen it. I've seen it, of course, multiple times. Probably you have too. This is a film that still stands to this very day. In fact, I just recently saw it again a couple of months back once I was able to play around with some of my new apps there on my smartphone, and then I saw that sure enough there it was as a viewing option, and still to this very day it has a very nice impact, almost as much as when it was first released. I think what makes Cloverfield so successful is the fact that, of course, it's a giant monster movie. That's nothing that can be disputed on there, but it's basically from the viewpoint of us tiny little ants experiencing this film. It should not work that way. Like, it should be something where we want to see more of the monster every single time, but because we are experiencing it in person, we can substitute scenes of not having the monster in full force, because instead the drama, the excitement, the tension, the horror, everything that comes from us experiencing this world in person, first person point of view, that's what makes it a success. I mean, I was thinking about that when I was rewatching it and realizing, like, imagine going through New York after a destructive set of circumstances involving a giant monster. The monster is somewhere there in the background. You can sometimes even hear it in the way background, but it's not there right now. But there you are, just like in the film, walking throughout parts of the city that were destroyed by the monster. I mean, who wouldn't love something like that in terms of being able to experience first person point of view like that? Not in real life, of course, but still something like this where you get to experience it through a film. I mean, there were some scenes that stood out like that. Like, for example, when they went to the apartment building to try to save the girlfriend, and you saw that the building she was in was almost toppled over. It was basically leaning against one of the other buildings. It made me think and realize that this Clover monster essentially was moving towards it and then used it as a balancing column or something and just pushed it aside. Its gigantic weight just pushed it to the side, almost toppling it over, if but for the fact the other building was there. And then there's the other parts of the film where you see the ramifications of the monster. The Statue of Liberty, one being a good example. You see its head torn off in the distance through cameras, and then also you see the hearings of the monster, especially in the far background when it's being attacked by the army while everyone is running away from it. I mean, it was those little moments on there, and I highlighted it one time in one of my Godzilla reviews, that just make it stand out when you realize that something is happening. There's a world that you're in the world of giant monsters. You're not seeing it necessarily up front, but you're still experiencing. That's what makes it so very cool. And then absolutely what made the film also a huge success was its very brilliant, just top of the line marketing, but before the beginning of the film. I think it was still Transformers, if I'm not mistaken, the very first Transformers, that brought the teaser to the entire world. And I remember the buzz, the immediate buzz that this thing got whenever that teaser hit. It was just a couple of quick shots, and then of course it ended with the Statue of Liberty head infamously being thrown, something through it. There was no mistaking the way that it was going through the air, that something through it, which meant that it would have been something large, it landing on the street right in front of you and then skidding towards the side. This teaser just completely caught the world by surprise, and because of it was there with Transformers, that just immediately sparked the buzz thereafter. But that wasn't it, just that teaser. No, there was this whole beautiful world built within the viral marketing site. All these random websites that started coming up. I think there was like Teddy's videos come to mind. There was that Slush Show website is another one. There were these other ones, I'm trying to rack up my mind from 10 years ago, where it was, you go there, you post a link, and then you're supposed to see some kind of weird image about you have to change the focus on your computer screen, and then it will give you like some kind of IP address, and then you go someplace else to put in a code. It was just this intricate, just beautiful world where it was as if you were uncovering layers, onion after onion of layers, and as you got into one more layer, you thought, this is it. This is going to be the answer. Finally, I'm going to get to see exactly what I've been looking for. But no, it just introduces something else altogether. And it highlighted a lot of the characters that were in the film, but for just very, very brief cameos. But it gave them a whole other world here. And it was one of the first ones to use social media for this. I think it was during the days of MySpace, in fact, that it was utilizing social media feeds as if the characters were there in real life right before the infamous date 1/18/08. And then finally, when the film actually hit, you got to see the entire buzz, all the build up from it, from this beautiful marketing, finally show in the film. And then what a powerful film it was. Was the beginning still a little slow? Yes, to this day I think they spilled too much build up on those hipsters, the yuppies there that were within the beginning of the film, but maybe it was still necessary to make you care of them in order to ensure that yes, you have somebody you can kind of root for throughout the rest of the film. But then finally, when Clover makes his introduction right there smack in the middle of the city, exploding literally outward, then that's it. By the way, can someone still explain to me why there was that huge explosion within the middle of the city? Was it like a gas main, something that he hit? Was it something being dropped on him? I don't know exactly, because I don't think anything in the middle of New York City is that powerful enough to explode if something comes up from the ground. But if someone can other than that, it looks really really nice, like in terms of a nice entrance for him. But if someone can explain that, please let me know. But yes, all that build up finally led to the film, and then when he came out, it just completely took over when it came to his presence. Even though he was only there, if you probably time it throughout the entire film, he's probably only there less than 5 minutes. His presence is clearly felt throughout nearly every scene. And then the military, the way they attacked him, and then inadvertently he was just crossing paths with the main characters, even though they were trying to avoid him. I remember there was one very very nice scene where they finally rescued the young lady, the girl from the apartment, and then in the far background you can see him getting closer and closer. And then I was thinking to myself, that is scary right there, because there you see him getting closer, and then the military, the planes are trying to shoot him down, but it's not stopping him. And then of course the camera guy, HUD, he was talking about that this thing is getting there closer. But yes, I just remember what a beautiful beautiful world that was as I was experiencing at the same time. And it introduced a hallmark within a lot of movies today, the first person point of view, the found footage, if you will. This was a hallmark within it, because now everyone else was copying it thereafter. And tying into what I was saying earlier about the introduction of the big monster films, yes indeed, 1998 Godzilla was supposed to be the big one that would introduce those big giant monster films, especially with it being a threequel, in this case 3 movies movies that it was supposed to have there at Sony TriStar. Obviously, that fell through with the bad buzz, with the bad hype that this movie got thereafter, and things just died down. 2005's King Kong, could that be considered some kind of big kaiju film? I don't really think so, in the sense that it's not really like a King Kong film. It's more like an homage to the original film, but then it goes into some other tangent, more along the lines of I don't know, maybe like an E.T. type film where someone discovers someone they really care about. But finally, it was that lull when it came to the big monster films. It was like, where were the films? Was there ever going to be something else other than the occasional Toho film, like the actual Godzilla films that they released? Nothing though in the U.S. when it came to that type of world. And then boom, that teaser dropped, and then everybody was super excited. I remember the boards were just lighting up 100%. Everybody thinking, is this going to be a new Godzilla film? Is this going to be a new Godzilla film? It showed just how much thirst there was for a new Godzilla film, because everybody was thinking that it was going to be it. Obviously, it did not come out to be a Godzilla film afterward, but it did indicate to the higher-ups, the powers that be within the movie industry, that there was buzz for it. And then it didn't take long thereafter, 2 years in fact, I think, after the release of the Cloverfield film, for work to finally start on a new Godzilla film. I think it was 2010 that all the stuff started, and then it was released in 2014 thereafter. But yes, there was the success of this film that basically started the entire world. All the new kaiju films that we have, the Godzilla sequel, and then the King Kong, and then the other one, the Godzilla vs. Kong film that we'll have later on, all that stuff, not to mention the Pacific Rim films, and then other stuff that's being added on too. Now, as far as the Clover world, is it still out there in terms of people being interested? Yes, absolutely. There was that 10 Cloverfield Lane film that came out where everybody was buzzed. Everybody was thinking that, yes, finally, the thing dropped just as mysteriously as the first film, a new teaser, and everyone figured that it was going to be a brand new Cloverfield film finally featuring Clover. He's back, in other words. But no, that of course turned out to be a big dump, at least when it came to tying anything to the original Cloverfield film. I still don't see any link to it. If anybody can point out a more direct link, let me know. I'm not talking about like a soda from Slusho in the background. I'm talking about like an actual Clover type link. Then please let me know in the comments. But that turned out to be a big jump in terms of its relation to the original Clover film. But now we have another one, something called the God Particle, that's now going to be released later this year, I think in April. That's supposed to be another sequel to the Cloverfield film. Now, at this point though, with the 10 Cloverfield Lane being a big misleading factor, I'm going to wait and see the approach on this one. I'm going to wait and see like if it's truly absolutely gonna show Clover in this case. But if you want to be excited for this world all over again, the viral marketing is back. You can start finding websites out there, in fact, related to the upcoming God Particle film. It's the whole thing all over again. It'll be the Slusho stuff. It'll be the JP Taruka, or I can't remember what the name of it is, but the company that supposedly makes that stuff that eventually led to the creation, or the accidental creation, of the Clover monster. All those hidden websites with the hidden images, the stuff that just loads weirdly and then you're supposed to find messages within them, all that stuff is back. It's actually back. It just started with the 10-year anniversary of the Cloverfield film. So I'm gonna eagerly go through all that all over again, in anticipation, fingers crossed, that this new God Particle film will truly, absolutely be an actual Cloverfield sequel with the Cloverfield monster or something similar to it. Not another a false one like the 10 Cloverfield Lane. I'm hoping for the real thing, in other words. But yes, 10 years it's been since the Cloverfield film has been released. Am I aware the 10 years gone? It still feels as fresh as ever, and it's still as powerful. It's still as beautiful as the first time that I first saw it. What do you guys think? What are your thoughts on the Cloverfield film? 10 years later, 10-year anniversary. Is it still something that you like? Is it something that you now hate? Is it something that you always look eager for when it comes to other films, new stuff? Please post those comments below. That'd be great, really, really great to hear. Ironically, the only other world that Clover has made an appearance on are the comic books. It seems like there was these comic books that came out somewhere in Japan that showcased Clover. Like, I don't know if it was like some kind of prequel or afterward, but it most likely was a prequel, but it showed him within the comics. That seems to be the only other one that showcases what happened, like some other side story from him. And then officially, I think what happened to him afterward, if the website is still up, I think if you go to that 1808 website, the direct one, you see these images, these photos there, and it's supposed to show that eventually Clover was attacked after the big one dropped and it didn't take him out. He was then continuously attacked both in the city by the military and then by naval forces out there in the sea. And then it was those naval forces that just all in tandem, all at once, just fired everything and then just blew him up. And you see photos of pieces of him floating out there in the sea. I think that's the official stance, that he was eventually destroyed thereafter. So if the God particle happens to do with another Clover, that'd be very, very interesting. Especially, I remember reading quotes about Abrams stating that the one we see in the Cloverfield movie is just a baby. It's just actually a newborn. So there's someone out there elsewhere, maybe even a parent, maybe even much larger, that could make an appearance. And that would be something very, very interesting to behold. So, but yes, I hope you guys like this video. 10-year anniversary on the Cloverfield film. Still, to me, a very important part of the kaiju film world because of its success, which eventually allowed the rest of the films, the Godzilla films, the legendary films, the MonsterVerse films, to come back and be a success of their own. So, alright everybody, thanks again as always. Take care.